I've heard of post-California cuisine, I say, acutely aware of the design of the restaurant, the exposed pipe, and the columns of the open pizza kitchen, and the deck chairs. In fact, I've even eaten it. No baby vegetables, skeleton burritos, wasabi crackers. Am I on the right track? And by the way, did anyone ever tell you that you look exactly like Garfield, but run over and skinned, and then someone threw an ugly Ferragamo sweater over you before they rushed you to the vet? Silly? Olive on brie? Exactly, Anne says, impressed. Oh, Courtney, where did you find Patrick? He's so knowledgeable about things. I mean, Lewis's idea of California cuisine is half an orange and some gelati. She gushes, then laughs, encouraging me to laugh with her, which I do hesitate. Texture. Waiter, not the hard bag. Strides over to take another drink. Jamie straight, I say before anyone else orders. Courtney orders a champagne on the rocks, which secretly appalls me. Oh, she says, as if reminded by something. Can I have that with a twist? A twist of what? I asked irritably, unable to stop myself. Let me guess, melon? And I'm thinking, oh my god, why didn't you return those goddamn videos? You dumb son of a bitch. You mean lemon, miss? The waiter says, giving me an icy stare. Yes, of course, lemon. Courtney nods, seeming lost in some kind of movement, but enjoying what Olivia's doing. I'll have a glass of, I guess the Acacia, Scott says, and then addresses the table. Do I want a white? Do I really want a Chardonnay? We can eat the redfish with the Cabernet. Go for it, Anne says cheerily. Okay, I'll have the, Sauvignon Blanc, Scott says. The waiter smiles. Scotty, Anne says, the Sauvignon Blanc? Just teasing, he snickers. I'll have the Chardonnay, the Acacia. Sure, Anne smiles, relieved. You're funny. I'm having the Chardonnay, Scott tells the waiter. That's nice, Courtney says, patting Scott's hand. I'll just have, Anne stalls, deliberating. Oh, I'll just have a Diet Coke. Scott looks up from a piece of cornbread he was dipping into a small tin of olive oil. You're not drinking tonight? No, Anne says, smiling naughtily. Who knows why? Who fucking cares? I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. Not even for a glass of Chardonnay? How about a Sauvignon? I have this aerobics class at 9, she says, slipping, losing control. I really shouldn't. Well, then I don't want anything, Scott says, disappointed. I mean, I have one at 8 and exclusive. Does anyone want to guess where I won't be tomorrow morning at 8? I ask. No, honey. I know how much you like the Acacia, and reaches out and squeezes Scott's hand. No, babe, I'll stick to the Pellegrino, Scott says, pointing. I'm tapping my fingers very loudly on the tabletop, whispering, shit, to myself. Courtney's eyes are half closed, and she's breathing deeply. Listen, I'll be daring, Anne says, finally. I'll have a Diet Coke with rum. Scott sighs, then smiles, beaming, really. Good. That's a caffeine-free Diet Coke, right? Anne says. Anne asks later. You know, I interrupted. You should have it with Diet Pepsi. It's much better. Really, Anne says? What do you mean? You should have the Diet Pepsi instead of the Diet Coke, I say. It's much better. It's easier. It has a clear taste. It mixes better with the rum and has a low sodium content. The waiter, Scott, and even Courtney are all staring at me as if I'm offered some kind of diabolical apocalyptic observation, as if I were shattering a myth highly held or destroying an oath that was solemnly regarded. And it suddenly seemed almost hushed in deck chairs. Last night, I rented a movie called Inside Lydia's Ass. And while I'm too halcyon and fantasy diet, I watched Lydia take a 10 blonde hard body with a perfect ass and great full tits, while on all fours gave head to this guy with a huge cock, while another gorgeous blonde little hard body with a perfect blonde pussy knelt behind Lydia after eating her ass out, sucking on her cunt, starting to push a long, greased silver vibrator into Lydia's ass. Fucked her with it. While she continued to eat her pussy, and the guy with the huge cock came all over Lydia's face. She sucked his balls, and then Lydia fucked to an authentic-looking, fairly strong orgasm. And then the girl behind Lydia crawled around and licked the cum from Lydia's face. Lydia sucked off the vibrator. The new Bishop came out last Tuesday, and at Tower Records yesterday, I bought the compact disc, the cassette, and the album because I wanted to own all 3 formats. Listen, I say, my voice trembling with emotion. Have whatever you want, but I'm telling you, I recommend the Diet Pepsi. I look down at my lap. the blue cloth napkin, the word deck chairs sewn into the napkin's edge. For a moment, I think I'm going to cry. My chin trembles and I can't swallow. Courtney reaches over to touch my wrist, gently stroking my blue lights. It's okay, Patrick. It really is. A sharp pain in my liver overcomes with a surge of emotion, and I sit up in my chair, startled and confused. The waiter leaves, and then Anne asks if we've seen the recent David Annika exhibit, and I'm fully calm. It turns out that we haven't seen the show, but I don't want to be tacky enough to bring up the fact that I own one. So I lightly kick Courtney under the table. This raises her out of her lithium-induced stupor, and she robotically, Patrick owns an Annika. He really does. I smile, pleased, in my JB. Oh, that's fantastic, Patrick Ann says. Really, an Annika? Well, let's just say it's say what? Nothing. Courtney sighs, anticipating another kick. Patrick's cost $20,000. She seems bored out of her mind, picking at a flat, worn piece of cornbread. I give her a sharp look and trying to hiss. No, Courtney, it was really 50. She slowly looks up from the cornbread she's mashing between her fingers, and even in her knees manages to stare so delicious that it automatically humbles me, but not enough to tell Scott and the truth that the Annika only cost 12 grand. But Courtney's frightened gaze, though she might be staring disapprovingly at the patterns in the columns, the Venetian blinds and skylight, the Montego vases of purple tubes lining the bar, scares me enough to not elaborate on the procedure of purchasing an Annika. It's a stare I can interpret fairly easily. It warns, kick me once again and no pussy. Do you understand? That seems, and starts. I hold my breath, my feet tight with tension. Low. I exhale. It is! But I got a fabulous deal, I say gulping. But 50,000? Scott asks suspiciously. Well, I think his work, it has a kind of wonderfully proportioned, purposefully mock superficial quality. I pause, then trying to remember a line from a review I saw in New York Magazine. Purposefully. Doesn't Louise own one, Courtney? Anne asks, and then tapping Courtney's arm. Courtney? Louise owns what? Courtney shakes her head as if to clear it, widening her eyes to make sure they don't close on her. Who's Louise? Scott asks, waving to the waitress to have the butter, the busboy everything placed on the table removed. What a party animal. Anne answers for Courtney. Her boyfriend. Just after seeing Courtney, confused, actually looking at me for help. Where's he at? Scott asks. Texas, I say quickly. He's out of town in Phoenix, I mean. Uh, no, Scott says. I meant, what house? I left Rothschild, Anne says, about to look at Courtney for confirmation, but then at me. Right? No, he's at P and P. Say, we worked together, sort of. Wasn't he dating Samantha Stevens at one point? Anne asks. No, Courtney says. That was just a photo someone took of them. That was in W. I down my drink as soon as it arrived and wave almost immediately for another. And I'm thinking, Courtney is a babe, but no sex is worth this dinner. The conversation violently shifts while I'm staring across the room at a great-looking woman, blonde, big tits, tight dressed, and with bold tones. When Scott starts telling me about his compact disc, while Anne unwittingly prattles on to a stoned and completely oblivious Courtney about new kinds of low-sodium wheat rice cakes, fresh fruits, and new age music, particularly Manhattan Steamroller. It's Iowa, Scott says. You've got to hear it. The sound pauses, his eyes close in ecstasy, chewing the cornbread. It's fantastic. Well, you know, Scotty, the Iowa is okay. 3 months Scott tea, I'm thinking. But Sansby is really top of the line. I pause, then add, I should know. I own one. Iowa was the line. Scott looks worried. Not yet upset enough to please me. No way, Scott, I say. Does Iowa have digital remote control? Yeah, he says. Computer controls? Uh huh. What a complete and total waste. Does the system come with a turntable that has a metacrylate and brass platter? Yes. Lies. Does your system have an Acophase T106 tuner? I ask him. Sure, he says, shrugging. Are you sure? I say. Think carefully. Yeah, I think so, he says. But his hand shakes as the reaches forward. What kind of speakers? Well, done tech wood, he answers quickly. So sorry, dude. You have got the Infinity IRS V speakers, I say. Or, wait a minute, he interrupts. V speakers? Five speakers? I ain't never heard of five speakers. See, that's what I mean, I say. You don't have you might be listening to a goddamn Walkman. What's the bass response in those speakers? He asks suspiciously. In ultra low 15 hertz, I've heard, enunciating each word. That's just enough for a minute. And drums on about non-fat frozen yogurt and chow chows. I sit back and satisfied having stumped Scott, but too quickly he regains his composure and says, "Anyway, trying to act blissfully uncaring that he owns a cheap, shitty stereo. We bought the new Phil Collins today. You should hear how great groovy kind of love sounds on it. I think it's by far the best song he's written," I say. Blah, 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 blah. And though it's finally something Scott and I agree on, and though it's finally something Scott and I can agree on, the plates of blackened redfish appear, and they look bizarre. And Courtney excuses herself to the ladies' room, and after 30 minutes, when she hasn't reappeared, I wander into the back of the restaurant, find her asleep in the coat check room. But at her apartment, she lies naked on her back, her legs tan and aerobicized and muscular and worked out, are spread, and I'm on my knees giving her head while jerking myself off. And at the same time, I started licking and sucking on her pussy, and she's already come twice, and her cunt's tight and hot and wet. And I keep it spread open, fingering with one hand, keeping myself hard with the other. I lift her ass up, wanting to push my tongue into her, but she doesn't want me to, so I raise my head up and reach over to the horseshoe antique nightstand for the condom that sits in the ashtray from the palio next to the halogen tensor lamp, and the Dioro pottery urn, and I tear the package open with two shiny slipped fingers in my teeth, then slip it easily onto my cock. I want you to fuck me, Courtney moans, pulling her legs back, spreading her vagina even wider, fingering herself, making me suck her fingers, the nails on her pan long and red, and the juice from her cunt glistening in the light coming from the street lamps to the Stuart Hall Venetian blinds tastes pink and sweet, and she rubs it over my mouth and lips and tongue before it cools. Yeah, I say, moving on top of her, sliding my dick gracefully into her cunt, kissing her on the mouth hard, pushing into her long, fast strokes. My cock, my hips, crazed, moving on their own desires, momentum already. My orgasm fills from the use of my balls, my asshole coming up through my cock, so stiff that it aches. But then in mid-kiss, I lift my head up, leaving her tongue hanging out of her mouth, starting to lick her own red, swollen lips. And while still humping, but lightly, I realize there is a problem of sorts, but I can't think what it is right now. But then it hits me while I'm staring at the half-empty bottle of Evian water on the nightstand, and I gasp, "Oh shit!" and pull out. "What, Rose? Did you get something?" Without answering, I get up from the futon, stumble into the bathroom, trying to pull off the condom, but it gets stuck halfway. And while easing it off, I accidentally trip over the Reynolds scale, and while trying to flip on the light switch, and in the process, stubbing my big toe, then cursing, I manage to open the medicine. "Patrick, what are you doing?" She calls from the bedroom. "I'm looking for water-soluble spermicidal lubricant." I go back. "What do you think I'm doing? Looking for an Advil?" "Oh my God," she cries out. "You didn't have any on?" "Morning," I call back, noticing a small razor nick above my lip. "Where is I cannot hear you, Patrick," she calls out. "Louise has terrible taste in cologne." And picking up a bottle of Paco Rabanne and sniffing it. "What are you saying?" she cries out. "Oh, water soluble spermicidal lubricant," I shout back, staring into the mirror, searching for a Clinique touch stick to put over the razor nick. "You mean what is it?" he calls out. "Didn't you have it with you? Where is the goddamn water soluble spermicidal lubricant?" I scream. "Water soluble spermicidal lubricant." I'm shouting this while using some of her Clinique cover up over the blemish, then combing my hair back. "Top shelf," she says, I think. While looking through the medicine cabinet, I glance over at her tub, noticing how clean it is, which moves me to say, Courtney, you really should get your act together. And your tub marbleize, or maybe add some jacuzzi jets," I call out. "Can you hear me, Courtney?" And after a long while, she says, "Yes, Patrick, I hear you." I finally find the tube behind that huge bottle, a jar for Xanax, on the top shelf of the medicine cabinet. And before my dick totally softens, place a small dab of it inside the tip of the condom, slather it on the latex sheet, and then walk back into the bedroom, jumping onto the futon, causing her to snap. "Patrick, this is not a fucking trampoline." Ignoring her, I kneel over her body, sliding my cock up into Courtney, and immediately she's pushing her hips to meet my thrusts. Then she licks her thumb and starts rubbing her clit. I watch as my cock moves in, then out, and into her vagina with long, fast strokes. "Wait," she gasps. "What?" I moan, puzzled but almost there. "Louise is a despicable twit," she gasps, trying to push me out of her. "Yes," I say, leaning on top of her, tonguing her ear. "Louise is a despicable twit. I hate him too." And now, spurred on by her disgust for her wimp boyfriend, I start moving faster, my flying night's approaching. No, you idiot, she groans. I said, is it a receptacle tip? Not, is Louise a despicable twit? Is it a receptacle tip? Get off me! Is it a what? My mom? Pull out, she groans. Pull out, she groans, struggling. I'm ignoring you, I say, moving my mouth down on her small, perfect nipples, both of them stiff, hard, sitting on hard, big tits. Pull out, goddammit, she screams. What do you want, Courtney? I grunt, slowing my thrust down until I finally straighten up, and then I'm just kneeling over her, my cock still half inside. She hunches back against the headboard, and my dick slides out. It's a plain end, I point, I think. Turn the light on, she says, trying to sit up. Oh, Jesus, I say. I'm going home. Patrick, she whines, turn on the light. I reach over and put the halogen tensor. It's a plain end, see? I say. So, take it off, she says curtly. Why? Why? I ask. Because you have to leave half an inch of the tip, she says, covering her breasts with the Hermes comforter, rising, her patience shocked, to cast the force of the ejaculate. I'm getting out of here, I threaten. But don't move. Where's your liquid? She throws a pillow over her head and mumbles something, retreating into a fetal position. I think she's starting to cry. Where is your liquid? I calmly ask again. You must take some. Something indecipherable was mumbled again, and she shakes her head. No, no, no. Beneath the pillow. What? What did you say? I asked with forced politeness, jerking myself feebly back into an erection. Where? Sobs beneath the pillow, barely audible. You are crying now. I know it sounds clear to me. I still cannot hear a word you're saying. I try to grab the pillow off her head. Now speak up. Again, she mumbles. Again, it doesn't make any sense. Courtney, I warn, getting furious. If you just said what I think you said, your lithium is in a carton in the freezer next to the cruising hatch and is a sorbet. I'm screaming this. What? If this is really what you said, then I will kill you. Is it a sorbet? Is your lithium really a sorbet? I scream, finally pulling the pillow from her head and slapping her hard once across the face. Do you think you're turning me on by having unsafe sex? She screams back. Oh, Christ, this really isn't worth it, I mutter, pulling the condom down so there's half an inch to spare. A little less, actually. And see, Gordy, it's there for what? Huh? Tell us. I slap her again, this time lightly. Why is it pulled down half an inch? So we can cap the force of the ejaculate? Well, it's not a turn on for me. She's hysterical, racked with tears choking at. I have a promotion coming to me. I'm going to Barbados in August, and I don't want a case of Kaposi sarcoma, which is AIDS, to fuck it up. She chokes, coughing. Oh God, I want to wear it before she wails. I go on a Molly. I just bought it from yours. I grab her head and force her to look at the place with a condom. See, have you done, bitch? Have you done, bitch? Not looking at my dick, she sobs. Oh God, just get it over with. And falls back down on the bed. Roughly, I push my cock back into her and bring myself to an orgasm so weak as to be almost non-existent, and my groan is massive. But somewhat expected disappointment has been mistaken by Courtney for pleasure and momentarily spurs her on as she lies sobbing beneath me on the bed, sniveling to reach down and touch herself, but I started getting soft almost instantly, actually during the moment I came. But if I don't withdraw from her while still erect, she'll freak out. So I hold her to the base of the condom as I literally wilt out of her after lying there on separate sides of the bed for what might be 20 minutes, with Courtney whimpering about Louise and antique cutting boards and the sterling silver cheese grater and muffin tin she left at Harry's. She then tries to give me head. want to fuck you again, I tell her, but I don't want to wear a condom because I don't feel anything. And she says calmly, taking her mouth off my limp, shrunken dick, glaring at me, if you don't use one, you're not going to feel anything anyway. Thank God for these Bret Easton Ellis bookmarks. They're perfect. In the corner of my mind, I'm celebrating glory. Eldorado, In your eyes, the light, the dark. Lost one somehow, day past, and it's the years pass now. But you don't run away. It's how when you got but it's where I go. And I face you. I'm return, never side, so real good. Without a noise, without my pride, reach out from the inside. Blowing out like the heat. I feel complete. I feel the to a thousand churches. The resolution of the fruitless churches. Oh, I see the light of the light. Wanna be that, wanna touch the light that he and God. There's so much makes you cry. Have you ever needed so bad? Sleep at night. Have you ever tried to find the words to say don't right? Have you ever, have you ever, so bad to do anything to make them understand? Have you ever found one in your heart away? Do anything to make them feel the same. You ever search for words to get you in the heart? You don't know what to say. Then you don't know where to start. And have you ever heard something so bad to make you cry? Have you ever needed something so bad you can sleep at night? Have you ever tried to find the words it don't come out right? Have you ever? Have you ever? Hmm. Have you ever found someone who's I and look into her eyes? Have you ever given your heart to little find the heart? Into the heart to you. The search for words to say you were there. And you into his face. Oh, say the name is have you ever loved somebody so much? You cry. Have you ever need something so much? Sleep at night. Have you ever tried to find the words but they don't come out right? Have you ever? Have you ever? Ooh, I got what do I got to say that gives you heart to make you understand? How I need you next to me. But I gotta get you there. 'Cause real is have you ever loved somebody else? Have you ever needed something so much? Sleep and just sleep and I couldn't get it all. Now have you been? Have you been? Oh, have you been? That I would never find a never saw you away. That there was something inside of you, something I thought you'd never find. Changes of I'm taking it with me.
sense of me. But it's still in my mind. She's no, different now. Let me go. Never knew I'd be this strong. It's living with you. Every breath that I take, the love that we share, I always feel this. And going new, I never something inside of you. I'm never fine. There were nights when the wind was so cold. And my body froze in my bed if I listened to that outside. There were nights when the sun was so blue. You turned to dust and I just knew my heart dying in love for it. I was finished crying in the instant that you left. And I don't remember when how. I've been staring when you realize that everything like this, you be like that. I just have to admit that it's too good what to be, but it's so good. It's all coming back, coming back to me now. Memories of golden, never forgotten. There were things I never knew again, but family always said. There were nights of endless pleasure, it was more than any loss of love. Baby, baby, it's like this, it's not like that. It's so long ago, but it's so coming back. You went me like this, you me like that. I was lost and ago, but it's all coming back. It's hard to resist, but it's so coming back. I'm believing you all, but it's all coming back to me now. but it's all coming back. Yeah, with those empty threats and hollow lies. Trying to hurt me, hurt you first, and so much. The hours that just went on for days, alone and last week down the road that we lost until but you with the standing of the door. And I made myself so strong again somehow. And I never wasted any of my time on you since then. But if I touch you like this, if you hold me like that, it was so long ago, but it's all coming back. You touch me, it was gone with the wind, but it's all coming back. Coming back, so that's when we now. The moments of glory, never the last days back. Never think we never do again, but we always seem right. There were nights in endless pleasure. It was more than any loss allowed. Baby, when you touch me like this, hold me like that, it's gonna win, but it's all coming back to you. Hold me like this, see me like that, you see what you want to see, coming back. Reflection of fantasies all coming back. I can barely recall, but it's all coming back to me now. It's not forgive you all this, we forgive you all that, we forgive and forget, all coming back to me like this, like that. See, want to see all coming back. The flesh and the fantasies all coming back to. I can barely recall, but it's all coming back to. Selfish, maybe I'm tired. Would you be here if I have? It's nothing but pain. No, this is not about. I'm never there. Baby, try to find me. Everyone likes to be when I try to speak out, things I know I spend my days make a wish, take a chance, change. No, Darkness and together. You visit the loving door, and I'm a loving door. Maybe I need to let it say, you gotta keep moving on, baby. It's not easy to tell you goodbye. Took my love, took it down. Yeah. Inside of this house, so inside this house. And see, Oh,
Give me 1 second, man. Give me 1 second. Before I read yours, I want to read a little bit of American Psycho. I want you to hear. I want you to hear something. Okay. All right. So listen. Listen to the beat, the meter of the prose. Jean, my secretary, who is in love with me, walks into my office without buzzing, announcing that I have a very important company meeting to attend at 11. I'm sitting at the Palazzetti glass top desk, staring into my monitor with my Ray-Bans on, chewing Nuprin, hung over from a coke binge that started innocently enough last night at Shout with Charles Hamilton, Andrew Spencer, and Chris Stafford, and then moved on to the Princeton Club, progressed to Barcadia, and ended at Nell's around 3:30. And though earlier this morning, while soaking in a bath, sipping a solely Bloody Mary after maybe 4 hours of sweating, dreamless sleep, I realized there was a meeting. I seemed to have forgotten about it on the cab ride downtown. Jean is wearing a red stitched silk jacket, a crocheted rayon ribbon skirt, a red suede pumps with satin bows by Susan Bennis Warren Edwards, and gold plated earrings by Robert Lee Morris. She stands there in front of me, oblivious to my pain, a file in her hand. So just notice how easy that is to read out loud. It's very easy, no stuttering, no, just flows lyrically. All right, now let's start at page. I'm not sure. Is it 86? It's Rowena, the chapter 7. Beginning of chapter 7. Okay. Instantly, Diet felt like she existed again. She had spent the past 2 weeks, give or take a few, give or take. I would say give or take a few days. Do you see how a few days is like exhaustive? She had spent the past 2 weeks, give or take a few days, and nothing. It could work. But let me think, like you could say give or take or nothing. She saw nothing, she felt nothing. She saw nothing, felt nothing.
That's not a complete clause. She saw nothing. She saw nothing. She felt nothing. She couldn't move her body. Or maybe or she couldn't move her body. Just she couldn't move her body, period. Or so she assumed. Do you see how or so she assumed just doesn't sound good? Um, she couldn't move her body. She couldn't feel her body. She wasn't even sure if she was conscious or not. That's there you go. There's the beat. It felt somewhat like an accidental nap. That's not it right there. So it felt like a nap, or it felt like accidental. I know what you mean. I like the imagery, but it felt like a summer's afternoon nap, or it felt like a nap. It felt like a nap in the middle of the day, one that continued on overnight. And then day after day until she finally flung herself away, forgetting where she was or what she had been doing. Not feeling very well rested either. Period. Not feeling very well, period. No dreams. She had no dreams, no specific thoughts. It was just blackness. And now not. Okay. Like, and first of all, and now honestly does not flow. Uh, it had been just blackness where there were no dreams, no thoughts, just blackness. Period. And now she was awake. First thing she was compelled to do was rub her teeth with her tongue. Period. She expected weeks of buildup on she expected weeks of buildup, comma, but no. She expected weeks of buildup, period. But her teeth were smooth. Yeah, not, but no. It just doesn't work right there, in my opinion. Uh, you really want to make sure you got a pattern going. That's going to be a very powerful tool to make things clear. And the pattern comes with clarity. They're one and the same. The bacteria living on her body were surely recovering from the same effects as she. Do you see how awkward that sentence is? It's just so awkward. Satisfied with that conclusion, don't say things like that. Don't say satisfied with that conclusion. It doesn't mean shit. Sort of does, but it's like those are the kinds of things that you want to leave to the reader to decide. And just give us her action. Give us, did she grimace? Did she smile? You know, not, don't tell us that she was satisfied with the conclusion. Say, because it's satisfied maybe, it's sort of a physical thing, but don't overdo it. She turned her head to and she turned her head fro. She glanced around the cabin, searching for something, or just she looked around the cabin, or she took she I would say she something like she looked her she turned her head around, she glanced around the cabin. I would just say she glanced around the cabin. That's it. After the okay, it's a paragraph needs work. Crick had gasped loudly when waking, and now had the hiccups. Stayed with the Constitution. Stayed with the Constitution and the military man. Calmly opened his eyes and unbuckled his harness, as simply as him landing his cruiser at the market. Diet was still freezing herself from her harness when Dave rushed in with all the whimsy of an accountant. With all the whimsy of an accountant. All right, guys, we're on the line. And also, tell me, did you notice the problem with the previous paragraph? With opened his eyes and unbuckled his harness. Yeah, his harness, and simply as him landing his cruiser at the market doesn't make sense. It's something.
that happens when you're like in the throes of writing for like the first time. Usually, that's sort of that's what it reads like. Is that it's like a first that particular sentence, even the first draft. This is why you rewrite. Um, and rewriting is, I mean, it sounds like a frustrating process, but it's not. It's actually the most fun part of the entire process is rewriting it, not writing it. Writing it is like okay, but rewriting it is actually like really molding the clay, really fucking experiencing your work, your own work, and like in a different way, and really being able to elevate it by yourself. You know, and it's you already have something here. You know, you already so. Um, uh, I'll read one more page and then I'll be it. All right, guys, we're on the last leg of our little journey here. All right, I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to make. All right, guys, we're on the like rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy. That's basically what you're trying to do, right? So I think if you want to do that, then you need to have him say. You need to have him like insult them or say, "All right, get your keisters up," or like, "Up, get your asses up." You know, the show's over, journey's over. We're getting off. The little journey thing is a little too. It's just not the right context. And also, if he's gonna, if you, don't have him say, "So take your time and stretch your legs," because if he's being condescending, he's not gonna say, "Take your time." He's just gonna say, he'd say maybe you better stretch now while you have the chance because it's gonna get really uncomfortable for you in there, you know. Then he heard a single word from diet that he had come to expect and dread. Well, that doesn't come off right there at all, at all. And also, single word there. Then he heard a single word. No, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound right. He heard a single word. No, no, don't do things like that. It's too redundant and odd. Um, and also, like, we don't know that he's expecting to dread this. It doesn't make any sense. I get, you know, like when you're writing a story, the things move fast, but just these are good notes. Um, just have Diet say, well, not dot dot dot, because she's saying well with a question mark is what it sounds like. Well, what? Do you think we actually have to go? It's well with a question mark is what Diet is saying actually. Well, what? And then you need to say who says that because there's multiple people there. Do you think we actually have to go and hide somewhere? Can't we just hang out on the ship? Just say on the ship. Don't say the sleeper again. Just say the ship. Because it's just too in the weeds. You need to like it's so much easier to just be like the ship. And also like the sleeper is not as an awkward phrase and it might work. You know, it's about rhythm. It's about rhythm. So just remember that. The characters' personalities come down to the rhythm of their patter and their words. Do you think we actually have to go hide somewhere? Can't we just hang out in sleeper? Keep the door locked? No, Dave shot back. No, Dave said. Just say no! Exclamation point, Dave said. I'm not going to risk it. I'm not getting detained for any of you. Any of you. Period. That's it. And then she says, fine, but I don't see why. No, Diet. I need you to tell me that you understand what I'm saying. She crossed her arms. Fine. Exclamation point. End of quote. He didn't say it. You didn't say it. He replied, or he said back. She rolled her eyes. Fine. I understand. Period. Dave moved his eyes. Dave looked.
David moved his eyes become between Diet, Crick, and Stead, locking onto each of them, one at a time, with both of his index fingers. Smooth that out. Style that out. It's too obvious. It's too So he looked at his crew, and thought that it would be a miracle if they got through. Don't say he looked each one in the eye. That's too literal. Uh, Dave moves on. Everyone needs to listen carefully. Period. I don't care what it is you think you want to do. I'm the captain of this ship, and everything's going my way. Going to go my way. If anyone has a problem with that, I can take you to some nearby. I can. If anyone has a problem with that, you can. How about he says like you can take your problem up with HR, which doesn't exist obviously, or you can take your problem up with human resources, or like cut it. Don't keep it as curt as you can sometimes. If you cause me any trouble going through customs, I will turn you in, and I will tell them that you threatened to kill me. Period. If you listen to me, we'll do okay. Got it? Got it? Not me. Not me. It's it. It. Got it? Got it? You got it? You get it? Understand? Look, understand this. Not me. Understand me. It says awkward. It's like understand this. Um, the three nodded and groaned. Yes, we all get it. Give it a rest. I couldn't remember even seeing him that whole sentence needs to be reworked and restyled. Diet couldn't remember ever seeing him so stressed in her life. Do you see what the problem is about how now that's not rhythmic and it just doesn't flow? Um, she was hit with a pang of guilt. You could say, start the thing with Diet was hit with a pang of guilt listening to the stressed out little pig or whatever. Who's saying that? Dave's listening to the stressed out, listening to Dave, who's obviously stressed or at his limit. All right, and that's it. Look, okay, she said, I was only messing with you before. Just cut that. You don't need that. You don't need to say that again. Let your jokes die when they're dead. All right, that sound good? I do think that you have an abundance of notes here, and I think that if you go over it again closely and you find that enjoyment, you will probably be able to go through it all yourself very quickly. But I don't know. I work very quickly. So I think everyone has their own way of working. Right. Well, it's honestly, I don't think that. I think you would say it much clearer if you were in a conversation. It's just that when you're writing in your head, it's just it's like a stream of consciousness, and you're missing um, the language part, the grammar part. You can stick it into Google Documents, and they can tell you like. I don't know. I mean, like you could, and it will tell you when you use passive voice or et cetera, stuff like that. But that's up to you. Don't don't get caught up in the fact that you spent so long writing this 300 page. Stop. You have to slow down and not think about you. Not think about Boone's contribution.
Not think about how hard it was for Boone, but think about it's just a book that you're putting into the world that has to be at a standard in order to, thrive. That's not even true, though, by the way. I mean, a lot of crappy books don't. So honestly, but I'm telling you what, I read. I've been reading very frequently lately, and uh, I just I don't read finished books that are too unclear and like it just has to be iambic pentameter. I believe it's iambic pentameter. Is that like, listen to Salinger? Like I think the general theme of our messages usually ran to excessively strong admonitions and not infrequently undisguised threats. Boo boo, pick up your washcloth when you're done with it. Don't leave it on the floor. Love Seymour. Wait, Walt, your turn to take Z and F to the park. I did it yesterday. Guess who? Wednesday is their anniversary. Don't go to the movies or hang around studio after broadcast or pay forfeit. This means you too, buddy. It's a meter. There's a meter there.